So while I'm on this roof, I'm getting different texts and emails, and I have the Flip V Fold 7, and it really is helpful because I get to open it up. I have a full screen. I do my emails and texts, and so I really had a crew issue where something about a van not working, and so I'm rescheduling roofs through text and rescheduling material drops through emails, and I'm doing it here because my office is everywhere and anywhere, and I have some painters that are working at a job site today, and there's a question that came up, and so I'm making calls, texts, looking over paperwork, and I'm doing it all because I have this awesome flip phone through I guess Samsung, and anyway, so the life of a roofer is not always ideal. You can't be sitting at your desk and having a train of thought and hoping that everything's just going to be smooth on the days you're at your desk. It's very similar to when I was a teacher. You'd be really adamant about getting something done, and then all of a sudden this would pop up or this would pop up, and you just have to kind of organize the confusion and eventually figure out which is the priority and what's going to have to be put on the side. And I would say, so basically what I'm saying is I think any teacher or good teacher could be in an independent contractor type business like roofing or like real estate. And I think those are the professions that once they're done with teaching, like the tall roofer was, after 10 years of teaching, and I think part of it was because I was in special ed. I taught special ed, behavior, resource, content mastery, but I think teachers that put in the time and are like, what should I do now? I think you could get into a profession like this and be very successful. But anyways, yeah, so today, here's my office. I didn't want to do work up here. I wanted to do the other work I'm up here for, which would be to look at the roof system. But you kind of have to make do. That's the life of a independent contractor. All right. Of course, my friend's back, and of course I'm doing my duty, and I think that bird just did its duty. Anyways, doing a little inspection. This is what it looks like. Got some hail hits on that old VersaCap. Got some hail hits on the roof. Some metal on this one over there. A lot of planes flying over today. So this roof does have some hail to it. What I am noticing is that some of these VersaCaps, which happens a lot, weren't switched out, and so that's why the damage on the VersaCap is not the same as the damage on the roof. Those jets that you hear, my brother tells me this all the time, that's the cost of freedom. Anyways, so with that being said, let me just kind of show you. Oh, let's interrupt me again, because I'm working too, guys. I'm just kidding. So evidently we have some pretty good hail hits here. If I come over here, and that's pretty nice. Over here, you see some hail. Over here too. It actually hit both sides. If it just hits one side, sometimes they don't like that, but they want to see both sides. And over there, you see that one's pretty smushed. That one's pretty much covered in hail. This one right here was switched out the last time it was roofed. It's a different cap. That right there is a sprained ankle. It's getting better though. Just coming over here, kind of show you what this looks like. Just smushed it right down. See if I can kind of help it out a little bit. So one of the biggest problems with this is when you replace these, if your crew doesn't know what they're doing and they shove it too far down and doesn't allow the gases, I don't know what this is too, but maybe it's a fireplace, but if it doesn't allow the heating and AC units sometimes to vent correctly, they'll automatically shut off, So maybe they were scared of replacing this. Maybe they didn't order the bigger size. Maybe they just didn't want to replace it. But it can happen where these are shoved down too far, and the end result is the system underneath this roof will stop working, and it's a fail-safe. But anyways, just a little bit of roofer knowledge right there. This is my favorite place to walk, is the valleys. So doesn't matter really how steep the roof is. I think the biggest roof I've been on was a 14 or 15, 12. That's a bit scary. Open W Valley metals. All right, so now we're gonna kind of move our foot and transition to this. See if we have any hail hits on this. You can see we do. And then you can see the spatter of the hail right there. So chalk is one of our most favorite friends as roofers. We're gonna come over here. This roof is looking okay. I mean, there's hail hits. It's not like it's gonna be leaking. We got something here. We can actually start to see some of the fiberglass mat exposed. And what you'll notice here in the valley is that there is a lot of foot traffic. When they were installing this roof, they probably were on this valley quite a bit. And a lot of wear and tear on these shingles that were not on the rest of the roof surface. So if I come down here, and I'll come back over here, I'm not seeing those same patterns on this section. And this is the same section of the roof the valley's on. If I come over to this valley, you can see more wear and tear here. Maybe it was a hot day when they were installing this roof and they dragged a bundle across there or a tool, but evidently that is mechanical damage. This too could be considered mechanical damage. You can see the fiberglass mat right there. So once again, valleys are where a lot of people like to walk, especially when they install the roof. Right here, chalk in the gutters. You can see the hail hit right here, and some granule loss, and more granule loss. I also have a hail hit right there. I don't know if you can see it. So granule loss is something that does happen with every roof system. It's going to happen. You can see it's kind of in the gutter here. Just because there's granule loss doesn't mean the roof is bad. It just happens. But usually after a hail storm, it's a massive amount of granules that just hit that gutter and go out the downspouts. So if you see gradual hail coming out, if you see gradual granules coming out, then that's normal. But if you start to see just piles and piles of granules after a storm, maybe you weren't home for it. Another telltale sign is how many people have knocked on your door. If there is a reason for them to be there, they will be there. You're gonna see, I don't know, depending on the size of the hail, maybe 10 people knocking on your door a day. And when that happens and you start to see all those granules come out your gutters, it might be time to call the tall roofer or any good roofer. But for me, the tall roofer. And we're going to continue to go around and inspect this roof and show the viewers what a roofer or technically an adjuster is looking for to say that this roof would be a total loss. And so to the next section. So wind damage. Evidently we like to look at wind damage. I have some wind damage right here behind me, and I'll show you what that looks like. You can see the creasing in the shingle. It's got multiple creases right here. It actually broke. I'm just going to lift it up. So it comes, it's just over time, it's like if you have anything perforated or anything, you bend it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it'll eventually break. And so we have some shingles coming up here. You see a tear here and a tear up top. These for some reason are sealed back down, but at one time they were probably blowing in the wind. Also right here, crease. There's actually a crack right here. And actually I can lift up underneath it. All right, maybe it wasn't sealed down. Let me back out a little bit. You can see that it's lifting up. And over time it's creasing right here and tearing. So this is a wind damage section. When it comes to wind damage, that is important. That's important to a roofer. That's important to a homeowner. But when it comes to insurance adjusters, a lot of times, in my experience, they would like maybe 75% of the roof surface damaged. Of course, there's also things that come into play like discontinued shingles. But for the most part, they want 75% of that roof to be damaged. And so a lot of times it's better to go for the hail side of it versus the wind side of it, because if an adjuster came out here just to look at a wind claim, they would pay for a repair, and the deductible would eat up anything that they sent to you as in repair costs. So I always like to look for wind and hail is the deciding factor for me on letting homeowners know if they need to call in a claim, because I'm looking for a 10 foot by 10 foot area on the front, back, side, and side of the elevations, and usually I'm looking for about 10 hail hits, give or take. Some of the other providers that require more, I'll go up to 18, but most insurance companies are around 7 or 8 hail hits in a 10 by 10 per elevation. So once again, this wind one is important to anyone that is living at this house and any roofer that looks at it. But the reality is, I would not tell a homeowner to call in for this section of the roof. I would just say, hey, let's bid out a repair and get it done, and look at maybe waiting a couple storms. So wind damage, important, but it's not going to buy a roof just for this one section I showed you here or here or here. Are you back on the toilet again? Do you need to go see a doctor about your bowel movements? So here we go again. It's lifting up here, and oh, this one was the sealed section. Okay, but this one above it is lifting up. And actually, if you can see by this lifting up, it's actually pulling up this neck section too, kind of like a stair step, and it'll just keep doing that. So this is something we definitely need to tell the homeowner. Right here, I have a good hail hit. I'll show you what a hail hit looks like, and then maybe I can show you what blistering looks like. Right here, you can see that this is a hail hit. You can see that the granules are pushed into the asphalt. There's some displacement, and so that's a good hail hit. This right here is more of what blistering looks like. You can see that the asphalt has pushed up on the shingle. It's not like it's not indented, and it's not pushed away. It's just that the asphalt is coming up. It's always easy to be a critic to someone else, and I don't like when people criticize my work, but you can tell here that there is some jagged edges on this ridge shingle, and whatever they were doing to cut it, they probably should have switched their blade out. Of course, the homeowner and most people aren't going to see this on top of the roof, but it's here. Let me show you another I guess labor install issue. Right here you can see this line, and it's a line right here too. Most likely when they were in this area, they had their razors and they were cutting, maybe they were cutting to get to the valley, some of the waste. And when they were here, or maybe they were cutting something else, they nicked this area here. You can see here, the white is a fiberglass mat. You can see that right there, and that's, I mean, over time it's going to break down. It's not, this isn't going to make the roof leak, but it does mess with its, I guess, structural integrity. And then over here, another hail hit. But yeah, so that's not good. Not good, whoever installed this roof. So whenever an adjuster's looking at the roof, they want to make sure that the hail is consistent and it's everywhere. This is a hip and ridge shingle. This is actually on a hip. Of course, the ridge is up there where the bird is continually using the bathroom. Right here, there is a hail hit, and that right here is in a pretty good spot. Got another good hail hit here on this hip. Of course, this is a hip, and at the top, this is a ridge. So this cap was changed out the last time the roof was replaced because it's different. And we will do a true test to see if this has any hail on it. And it does. Got a hail hit here and one over here. So even though they didn't change out their VersaCaps the last time they replaced this roof system on the back elevation over there, they did over here. And since then, hail has hit this roof, as we can see. I would say overall, this roof has signs of hail damage. Certain elevations have more hail than others. I think this roof can wait for the next hailstorm before we assess it again and see if it does need to be called into the insurance company. There are some imperfections, of course. Install issues that will deteriorate the roof system, but nothing that will cause it to be overwhelmingly like we need to do something. I'm going to check to see if I have some sealant in my truck. And my theory is if I have the materials on me and I don't have to make an extra trip, then I will just do the repair while I'm up here. So hopefully I have some sealant, caulking, so I can go ahead and get those wind damaged shingles and seal them down for now. We meet again, but this time I'm packing, brother. Let's talk about your bathroom. Do you need a bathroom remodel? I'm getting closer. Gone. I wonder if it's my breath or maybe the fact that I smell bad while I'm on a roof. So I'm back and I'm up here and I have my sealant in the truck. Luckily for me, I'm going to put a line of beading of caulking underneath here and also over here and flatten these down. And let's see what happens. I mean, I'll show you the end result. I'm back in the wind section, the wind damage section. Got my tube of caulking, and I'm going to go ahead and seal these down. I'm going to put see, here's the asphalt line. This is where the shingles are supposed to be sticking. And I will go ahead and reapply some caulking to this area. I'm not sure if they'll, yeah, right over here you can kind of see. This is where they're supposed to put the nail in, right here, the nail line. Let's see if they got the nail line. They did pretty good. So let's go ahead and seal this down so this can be ready for the next storm. It's definitely not perfect. I'm not an artist, but I'll show you what I did here. Some of the tears I hit underneath them and on top. This one I was able to lift that one up underneath. And of course I put a bead of caulking right here where the nail line is on both of these shingles. And that should suffice. This will seal down and it won't be a continuous wind issue currently. And that's all I got for you on this roof inspection. Hopefully I covered some of the storm damage versus the mechanical damage. Just some of the things I look for, some of the things you should look for, some of the things you can look for on the ground would be the granules. Sometimes you can look up at some of these metal vents and see the dents. You can see the dents in your gutters and whatnot. But this is just a tall roofer, homeowner, real estate agent, learning experience.